46 years old Frank Norris and his wife went to a hunting trip from their home in Shoshone, Wyoming to Gross Venture in September of 1949. They rented 2 horses and rode them to Grizzly Basin, which is surrounded by small lakes and deep valleys at 10,000 feet elevation. They set up their camp and started their daily trips. On September 21st, Frank went alone for hunting but didn't show up. Frank's wife started to get worried and rode her horse back to the headquarters to ask for help. Sheriff was called and a search was started. Once the search started, the group saw Frank's horse is walking back towards their main camp alone. The horse was found with its reins tied together and Frank's gloves were stuffed in the opening below the saddle horn. His rifle was also found in its scabbard with a full magazine. Searchers let Frank's wife know what they found. His wife stated Frank never dismounted his horse and tied his reins. He always hung them loose so the horse would not run off. His wife also said Frank had lung problems and rarely dismounted to walk any significant distance. Frank's horse had no injury on it, showing Frank was attacked by an animal. Frank Norris was never found. 29 years old Brian Saenz was an employee of the Poltok lumber mill in St. Mary's, Idaho. In November 22nd of 1991, he decided to go to a hunting trip in mountains south of Clariga. On Monday, when he didn't come to work, friends and family got worried and went to the area he was hunting. Once they reached the area, they found Brian's truck. The car was found in the middle of a Forest Service road. The way it was parked made the searchers believe he had stopped suddenly and jumped out to chase a deer. Searchers followed Brian's tracks up a ridge but lost them on the other side. Searchers brought in dog teams to the scene as well. They followed the scent along the ridgeline and then stopped. On February 25th of 1992, almost 3 months after Brian went missing, a water measuring team went to the area where Brian's truck was found to measure a snowpack. The team found scattered bones near the bottom of a ridgeline and notified law enforcement. The county sheriff sent a team to the area and found keys, credit cards, and clothing that was later identified as belongings to Brian Saenz. Searchers found intact clavicle, 1 arm bone, 1 leg bone, and many pieces of smaller bones scattered in the area. No broken bone was found, which indicated he didn't die from a fall. Brian's bones were found 5 miles from his truck. If he got off to chase an animal, it would be odd of him to track it for several miles knowing his truck is in the middle of the road blocking the path. The county sheriff stated he died from exposure, which is unlikely knowing he was only 5 miles from his car and road. We will never know what really killed Brian Saenz. Two brothers with the names of Joseph, 29 years old, and William, 22 years old, decided to leave their home and go visit different cities in the US on August 21, 1924. Joseph was a graduate of the Lewis Institute and a former lieutenant in the Army Ordnance Division. He was an engineer for Universal Battery in Chicago. William was a student at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and was about to graduate the following year. As the two brothers traveled across the country, they wrote their mother daily about their adventures. The boys arrived at Lewis Hotel inside Glacier National Park in August 24th of 1924. They sent a card from their hotel to their mother on the day they arrived. That was the last time Mrs. Whitehead ever heard from her two sons. The two brothers told friends they were going to hike from the hotel to Granite Park, which is an area near the center of Glacier National Park. The route the two would have taken is adjacent to Lake McDonald, which is near the hotel. The lake was searched and all paths near the shorelines were checked. At the time the two brothers were hiking there, the park was busy with tourists. And if somebody was injured close to the trail, other tourists would see them and let the authorities know. But there was no report on anybody getting injured. The path to Granite Park is long, and if the two brothers hiked to the park, they would have to pass Lake McDonald and cross the divide, where they would have to continue on foot towards the east side of the park. When the Whitehead's mother didn't get any more letters from his sons, she called the National Park System and asked for a search, and the park accepted. There was lots of media coverage and there was lots of pressure from officials in the government to find the two brothers. The Whiteheads were both educated, in a very good physical condition, and they had common sense. The National Park Service searched for 6 weeks but found nothing. Mrs. Whitehead wasn't satisfied with the search and called the president and asked for assistance. The FBI was assigned to the case and pursued many clues, but all led nowhere and everything was deemed not credible. On March 14, 1925, few months after Whitehead's disappearance, the family distributed 25,000 posters of the two boys offering reward for anybody finding them. The park rangers stated the black bears living in the area at the time were not dangerous, and they didn't think this was an animal attack. The Whitehead brothers were never found.